Do you have some starter in your fridge that you're thinking has maybe been in there too long and is looking kind of funny and you want to know if it's okay to use it? Well, today I pulled mine out. It's been in there for about 2 months. I had my starter jar and a couple jars of discard. And I'm here to tell you that I had about a ½ inch of this black liquid on top. Most people would look at that and say, that is a done deal. Gross. But in fact, that is called hooch. It's just part of the fermentation process. So it's totally fine. Some people would just stir that right into your sourdough and it will give your sourdough starter a stronger flavor. I went ahead and poured mine off, and then I even removed the top layer of my starter and then scooped out of the middle and started new jars. So I put a little bit in here, a little in here, and then I started another littler jar and fed them up, and of each one of the jars that I had in my fridge, and then poured all the rest of the stuff out. But before I poured all the rest of it out, I did go ahead and salvage a bigger chunk because I wanted to make a couple loaves of sourdough tonight. So this is what, you see all the bubbles in there? That's what we want. I literally just took this out of the fridge today, this morning, after being stored in there for like 2 months. I have not made any bread for a long time. We're gonna start by being as quick as we possibly can with the making of the bread. It is late at night and I want to get to bed, but I want to get these ready. So I'm gonna actually make 2 of them, but I'm gonna show you one of them. So in order to get this going, we are going to do 1/2 a cup-ish of starter. I got these little knives off of like one of those Temu or Shein or whatever. Super handy to have for sourdough. It stirs your starter really well and gets all this stuff out. Okay, so we got our starter in the bowl. We're gonna add 1¼ cups of warm water, but not hot. I'm going to mix these two together. You can let these sit together for a little bit before adding the flour if you want to. I haven't really found it always necessary to do that. So, but that is kind of the traditional way of making bread, is add the yeast and the water together and see if it bubbles. But this is very well fed. So now I'm going to add 3 cups of all-purpose unbleached flour, or whatever flour you want, as long as it is not bleached. So I'm just going to mix this in here. I'm going to start with mixing it with the fork, and then I'll go to my hands here. Okay. Before I do that though, I want to throw in a little bit of salt. So I want about 1½ teaspoons of salt. So I prefer, if I'm going to make a bunch of sourdough, to start it the night before that I actually want the bread to be cooking, because it does take about 8 hours for it to rise. And so that was kind of a little trick that Jill Winger here on YouTube had mentioned, to do it like that. Start it at night, get it all ready, and then in the morning it should be ready to finish up the process and start baking, and you can have a fresh loaf by noon. So, all right, we don't want to mix this too much. We just want to get the flour mixed in, but it is going to be kind of a shaggy loaf. I'm just kind of exposing those stickier areas to pick up that. We're going to leave this in the bowl for 30 minutes. I'm going to cover it just so it doesn't get hard. And then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to do some stretch and folds. Again, not too many. And then once we're done with the stretch and folds, I'm going to cover it for the night, and I'm going to let it sit in a warm area of my house for about 8 hours. So I'm going to let it sit for about 30 minutes right now. All right, it's been 30 minutes, and this one still needs a few more minutes, but I'm going to start with clean hands, and I am going to, actually, I'm just going to use wet hands, and I'm going to pull, stretch, and fold. Stretch and fold. And I just want to do this a few times until I can turn this into a ball. wet hands helps it to not stick as bad to your hands. Okay. So now it's just a ball. I'm going to cover it again. I'm going to set it over here. What I don't want is air getting in because then it'll get hard and crusty. Okay. I'm going to set it over here, and my kitchen is at least 70 degrees, if not warmer. I'm going to let it sit, and tomorrow morning it should be double in size, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to start working on this one. Well, good morning. And here is our bread. It hasn't risen all that much, but it has, I believe, maybe we need to give it a little more time. This one's done a little bit better. This one's done quite a bit better than this one. I'm going to let this one sit a little bit longer. I'm going to put it in the back corner over here, put the cover back on it here in a second. And we're going to start with this one and get it rolled out. All right, so we have our little proofing basket or band-in. You could also just use a bowl that has a very well-floured towel in it. And that, I mean, it's the exact same concept. The only difference with this is it has the grooves on it that gives you a little bit of different shape to the side of the bread. Just a little bit of flour. Should be about all. Clean hands. I'm just kind of scraping it off the bowl. I don't want to flatten it. I don't want to punch it down. Okay. Now we're just going to do a few more stretch and folds. And this just develops the gluten or something into the bread. I don't know exactly what it does, but it's pretty important that you do it. Okay. Got into a little ball here. I'm going to put it on a floured spot so that I can get it back off. And I'm going to let it sit for 15 minutes. And then I'm going to come back and we're going to transfer it to our proofing basket and let it sit for 2 to 3 hours. And then it's time to bake, and we'll go through that. Okay, so I'm trying to pull the top of this kind of tight, and I do that by having an unfloured surface, and I just kind of grab it and I roll it. Okay, so before I get it to rest, though, I need to smooth out the top. So I'm just going to grab this. I'm in an unfloured surface, and I'm just going to roll it. And I'm pulling that top, this top, to make it nice and tight. It's the difference between that one and that one. This one I've tightened, this one I've not. And it's a really simple process. Look at that air bubble. See that air bubble right there? That's a good sign. I'm gonna let them both sit. Ready? Yeah. I have my helper here. So just to show you, one of these is a proofing basket that I've lined with a towel. Some people just flour the proofing basket so that you get more defined lines in your bread. I've done that before. I don't do it very often just because it's just easier to clean up when there's a towel involved. So then the other one is just simply the same glass bowl that I used, and it's the same setup. Good flour, lots of flour, so that it releases well. So we are just gonna pick these up.
You do that one, okay?
Okay, hold on. Let me show you how to do it. Okay, we're just gonna separate it from the thing like this. Okay. And then we're gonna
How?
put it right upside down, face down. And then we're gonna fold
Oh,
this
there we
over.
go.
Oh, okay. Got it? Okay.
And
Okay. Just like that.
now you done?
Yeah, I told you it's pretty simple. Pretty simple at this point, huh? Okay, so now we're just gonna go and here, let's put a little
Flour.
flour on top. Make sure we don't stick.
No, I got it.
You got it? Hold on, I'm gonna borrow a little bit of some from you.
Triangle.
Okay, got some? Okay. All right, that should be about good. So now I'm gonna cover it up. And then loosely. But I also do not like my bread to get crusty before it bakes. So I'm gonna put plastic over the top. Actually, I'm gonna use this one on this one because it's bigger. And then this
I
one.
don't want to do it.
You wanna do this one? Okay. Got it? Cool. Tuck those little. And there we go. Now we're gonna let these set for 2 to 3 hours. And then we're gonna be ready to bake. Thank you for your help, buddy. Okay. So, buddy,
Yeah.
it's risen for a little bit over 3 hours. We've been outside. We went to the dump. We went outside. We were moving garden stuff around, getting stuff ready for strawberries. And now we've come in, and we're going to bake our loaves of bread. So, go ahead and take the cover off. Unfold it, but don't smoosh it. Don't poke it. Don't pat it.
Whoa. Oh, I see it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, there it is. All right, now, here's the trick. We're going to take parchment paper, and we're going to lay it on top. And we got our pan. Some people, or Dutch oven, some people like these to be warm. I personally don't do that. Okay, so now we're going to flip this over really carefully. Okay.
Now
Pull the bowl off.
and put this off
Mm-hmm.
carefully.
Carefully. Good job. Oh, look at that. Look at that. That looks good. All right. So there are fancier things out there. And maybe someday I'll actually splurge and buy one of those cute little sourdough
Yeah.
kits.
What is that?
It's a razor blade. But I just have this. It's from our tools. And I just keep it in the house and I use it and I put it up and I just use it for the sourdough. Okay, Betty, we're just going to cut. We're going to score it so that it has a place to expand. Nice and deep. Okay.
I try.
No, not with the razor. You can cheer me on though. See how much trouble I'm having? Anyway, you can make it just 1 or 2 slits. Just 1 slit. You can make it as decorative. You could,
Make it all you want.
yeah, you can do whatever you want, right?
Yeah. That's what I just
Okay.
said.
So, there we go. Now, another option is, this is just ground up corn that I actually ground in like my NutriBullet. You can put this in the bottom of this. It's not necessarily always necessary, but if you're having trouble with your pan scorching the bottom of your bread and burning it, then this just makes like a little air gap between your Dutch oven and the bottom of your bread. But I believe most of the time the parchment paper does the trick. So we're gonna lift it up, drop it right in there.
Fluffy said or not.
So there it is. There is our bread. It's split. Kind of looks like a brain right now, but it's going to look much better later. And we're going to put the lid on it. We're going to put it in the oven at 450 for 20 minutes with the lid on, and then up to 30 minutes with the lid off. Just check it. Usually mine is between 20 and 25 minutes-ish, and your oven's going to be different. Your elevation's going to be different, and you just want it to where if you knock it, it sounds hollow, and the outside is nice and crusty, that it's got a really nice brown, but it's not burnt. So we're going to put the lid on and pop it in the oven. You can trim off this paper if you want.
Oh my, aha. Careful, aha.
Okay, I'll be careful. Okay,
Actually, aha.
there we go.
Now let's have just let it sit for a long time.
For a long time? For 20 minutes. Bake it with the lid on, up to 30 minutes with the lid off. Be careful reaching in your oven to grab that lid and take it off, but you should have perfect sourdough bread.
Baked to perfection. Go ahead and subscribe, follow along, and like and share for more recipes like this.